Are you thinking about building a greenhouse? I've got some tips that you might want to consider before moving forward, so stay tuned. First thing that I highly suggest you do is get a solid design plan in mind. Building a greenhouse isn't cheap, and the last thing that you want to do is be spending money on extra materials that weren't necessary if you had had a solid plan. So that's really going to be important. Make sure you know what it is you're wanting, whether you're building it yourself or you're hiring someone else to do it. Make sure you know what you want. The second thing you're going to want to consider is how high the temperatures can get even in wintertime in a greenhouse. Over here I've got a 12-inch exhaust fan, and it has a thermostat controller on it. And I wish that I had two of these things. In fact, I think later this year I'm going to install a second one. It can get extremely hot. Even right now it's 68 degrees outside, and in this greenhouse it's about 80 degrees. So it's going to be a lot hotter in here than it is outside, even on the coldest day. So think about that. The third thing you're going to want to consider is how cold it's going to get at night. It's going to be just as cold in your greenhouse as it is outside. People have this misconception that a greenhouse is going to be warmer all the time. Maybe 1 or 2 degrees sometimes, but for the most part, it's going to be the same temperature inside as it is outside. So you're going to want to figure out what kind of heating system you need. Are you going to want an electric heating system? Are you going to want a gas heating system? We're using a Mr. Heater 30,000 BTU unit, and this is a 120 square foot greenhouse, so that'll handle the temperatures in here easily. So figure out what kind of heating system you need. The fourth thing you're going to need to consider is air circulation within the greenhouse. If you don't have proper air circulation, your plants can start growing mold and fungus. So you're going to want to consider what kind of air circulation system you're going to have. I simply have a Country Tough fan in here, and that's perfectly fine, and it's all going to change depending on how big your greenhouse is. The last thing that you're going to have to consider is getting electricity to your greenhouse, because as we already talked about, we have an exhaust fan, we have a circulation fan. We are using a propane heater, so we don't have to use that there, but if you're using an electric heating system, you're going to need electricity for that. So how are you going to get electricity to your greenhouse? Are you going to have to hire an electrician to do it? Are you going to be able to run a safe extension cord out to the greenhouse? These are all things that you really need to consider, and they're things that add quite significant cost to your build. So these are my biggest tips when starting a greenhouse. They're things that I wish I would have known before I started building this one. And I hope this helps you guys out immensely. If you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer if you leave them in the comments. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If you like the content, leave this video a like. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and share with any of your friends who are thinking about building a greenhouse. And I hope this helped you guys out.